in your pocket.
Welcome back. The Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo has named part of the road leading to the Chinua Achebe International Airport, Umueri, after his predecessor, William Obiano. Commissioning the project, Soludo said the gesture is a way of acknowledging and celebrating the contributions of Obiano to the development of the state during his 8 years in office. Soludo said over time his government would systematically ensure that his predecessors who served the state creditably are immortalized. And joining me to talk about this development is the Anambra State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Law Mefo. Dr. Mefo, you're welcome to Full Day on Signature TV.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for hosting me.
Dr. Mefo, what informed the governor's or the government's decision, to name this project after his predecessor?
Yeah, I think essentially is to appreciate the fact that the immediate past governor of Anambra State contributed immensely to the development of the state. You know that government and governance is a continuum. And you hand over a baton, it's like a relay race. You terminate your own version of the race and hand over to the next. And that was precisely what happened between Obiano and Soludo. And it was quite necessary that he acknowledged that. It shows humility, it shows patriotism, it shows that he knows that he is not starting from ground zero, that somebody did some work, laid some foundations upon which he is building. That is one level of the understanding of what has happened. The number two is that let us even look at it this other way. That whether we like it or not, government being a continuum is one level of it. But again, you need to go beyond what you may call government, what government is and what it ought to be, to appreciate the fact that you need to also show some example. Example here in the sense that no matter how one looks at it, that you need to understand and get the other members of the general public to also see that you have to give and lead by example.
Yeah, Dr. Mefo, Dr. Mefo, just a moment. Some people in Anambra State are not so excited that the governor is naming this road after his predecessor. For some of them, they think that probably he didn't do enough work to deserve it. What is your take?
Yeah, well, I don't think it is fair to say that Obiano didn't do enough work to deserve the airport boulevard named after him. I don't think that is a charitable comment, a charitable assessment. Don't forget, Obiano, practically built that airport.
Okay.
And he brought it to at least 90% completion. So if he built the airport up to 90% or there around, why should anybody say that naming the road that enters the same airport that he practically built is undeserving? I don't think that is right.
Okay.
And again, he was the governor of the state for 8 years.
Is this a
And,
one? Is Dr. Mefo? Is this a one-off, or is it something that is going to continue in Anambra State? That other governors, other very prominent sons, will be honored? Because I remember that just recently, when we had the controversy about whether Professor Nwosu had been honored properly and all that, many people said, we are blaming Nigeria. What did Anambra State do? So is this a system of honoring?
No, come now. We don't have to mix up apples and oranges. They are two different things.
Okay.
Beginning with Humphrey Nwosu, an illustrious son of Anambra State. No doubt, he made his mark, and his contributions to the electoral and the democratic process in Nigeria, remain peerless.
So are we going to see this honor extended to other governors and prominent sons of Anambra State?
Just one moment.
Okay.
I want this point really made.
Okay.
That the Humphrey Nwosu is deserving of even national awards, and that the Anambra will look in his direction. But don't forget, Nwosu is not the only Anambra illustrious son that has made his mark nationally and internationally. You have men like Meka Anyoku, Jubo Kadibu. You have so many. Anambra has a very rich and long list of catalog of firsts.
So will their turn come? Will their turn come soon?
He will get his time if and when it comes.
Okay.
And what the governor said yesterday, I was there. He was particular about recognizing his predecessors, beginning with Willie Obiano, back to when Anambra State was created in 1991.
Dr. Mefo,
so
Dr. Mefo,
he is going beyond the current democratic dispensation.
Thank you.
He's going down in time to the beginning of Anambra State.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Law Mefo. I wish we had more time, and you promised me you'll be in Enugu soon to come to the studio so we can spend time talking about Anambra State.
I will. I certainly will.
So thank you for coming.
For the sake of coming to you, I will come.
Thank you for your insight into
so that
this.
People can see me.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine as always.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're still watching Full Day, your late night show. And joining me now is Ozo Joe Mamelo. Ozo Joe Mamelo is the Federal Commissioner at the National Human Rights Commission. Joe Mamelo, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Joe and I will be talking about human rights and the scourge of extrajudicial killings. But Joe, let's take a little while and welcome the chairman of Udenu local government area, former commissioner for information of Enugu State, Aka Ezaka, who has already joined us by Zoom. Aka, you're welcome to Full Day.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad you welcomed me. I also salute those in the studio.
Yes, Aka, we are looking at how the local governments can actually truly be the engine room of grassroots development in Nigeria. You've been journalists, you've been commissioner for information, now you are a local government chairman. So tell me, how do you think we can make local governments relevant in the development of the country?
Thank you very much indeed. I'm grateful that you am part of the program today. Well, all you have said about me is correct. I've been commissioner. I've also been a broadcaster. I am a broadcaster. From broadcasting, I went over to commissioner in Enugu State and now local government chairman. The word local became more explicit to me when I started this job on a few months ago. And the local has come to be that a local government is the closest to the people. And the import of this is that the people must feel you. In the past, it has not been the same story, and the complaint has risen to a crescendo when people will say we are not getting enough of what we bargained in the local government system. Now, a man came to ENUGU State, and as the governor of the state, he said the status quo must change, and his words came in the form of disruptive innovation. We all did not understand what that meant until we began to see his ideals. Today, I must tell you, the disruptive innovation idea of Governor Peter Ndubisimba has gone down to the local governments to tell the people that they expect so much from the people who are governing them. So it has placed a responsibility on everyone who is a local government chairman to ensure that the people they are, looking after, or people they are governing, so to say, would appreciate that there is a change in style of governance. There's a watershed in delivery of democracy dividends. Today, I believe that the local government is closer to the people. It's not an easy affair, I must tell you. If you must do all the things you are asked to do by the Constitution, by the government, by all stakeholders, it's not easy. So local government is a very strong one. But today, I believe that what's going on in Enugu State is revolutionary, because every local government chairman in Enugu State is struggling to put something on ground to tell the people, look, we are here and we want to mimic, we want to replicate, we want to do exactly what the governor is doing in Enugu State.
Okay.
I don't think your question
Honorable Chairman
covers the state.
Let's go specifically to what you have seen on the ground since you became local government chairman. How specifically are you replicating what Governor Mba is doing?
Thank you very much. It is difficult.
And I was going to say, Aka, can you reduce whatever you're monitoring this conversation with, because it's leading to an echo in the studio? Would somebody just bring the volume down a little bit?
Me? No, I don't think there's anything coming from me. Let's do the needful, please. Because I'm alone here, unless you are hearing the barking of a dog far away from my house.
Just go on.
Okay. What was their question? It said, what have I done specifically?
Yes. What did you see, and what are you doing specifically to change things in your local government?
All right. It has become a convention in Nigeria that when you leave office, the other person who was there before you will be castigated and so on and so forth. But let me come. I want to borrow from His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, who said that there is a change in governance. There is a watershed. I like to use that word. There is a disruptive change in governance. So it is not a case of comparing this government and the other governments. But I met on ground a situation where the infrastructural demand of the people has not been met. Roads were not built. Water is not there. Health is not even procured. I'm using a spectrum of local government areas to talk to you about it. And the people keep on, so many things have gone wrong, not only from the past administration, but it has become a status quo which needs to be changed. Otherwise, I don't believe the local government will perform the duties it has performed. If you ask me what I've met on ground, I will tell you that I didn't like it myself, so I had to make a change. For instance, roads. I have to start a 600-meter road. Small as it is, it meant a lot for the people. Immediately I started it, and they said, wow, this is a new government indeed. government that built, so local government area that built roads. So I when the praises were coming, I didn't want it. I didn't like it because I see as from what I'm getting, it is something we can do. So we started it. I want to tell you that in the next before the month runs out, that place would have been, let me use the ordinary language we use in the street, corrotated and probably fired. You understand what I mean? So we need to tar the roads to tell people we can do something. And I also started another road, which is 19.8 kilometer roads. 19.8 kilometer roads, which span from Oboleke, my particular hometown, and is moving towards through about how many, let me say about 30 communities, 30 communities. It transcends through Oboleke, Obolete, to Obola, Ogu, and getting to Ihaku and so on. That's what I'm saying there. And our people are very encouraging. The health matter in our area, apart from the 260 smart schools that governor has built and 260 PHC, that's the private public health healthcare centers. Apart from that, we needed to beef up our health institutions. We have plowed into the health institution, and we also, there's a place that had been, we didn't want to start off building a hospital entirely. But there are hospitals, clinics that are not performing at all, health facilities that are not performing at all. We faced it and we did something. Now, I don't, if you want me, I can be reading out what we have done, what we are going to do, and what we should do. But
that's quite impressive. That's quite encouraging. But yeah, we don't have too much time. So let me ask you my last question. How are you galvanizing the people at the grassroots to see that government and governance is their own, that they have a sense of belonging, and that they have a duty for this government to be able to work well? How are you doing that, and how are your colleagues across the state doing that?
I don't think I got your question. Somebody called me while you were talking. I'm sorry. There was an interjection. Would you mind?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please take the question again.
So I said, how are you galvanizing the people at the grassroots to understand that they have that this government belongs to them, and that it is their duty to make sure it works? How are you convincing them to buy into your vision, and for them to see development actually taking place at the grassroots?
I'm grateful for this question. It's an important design of the government of Enugu State, particularly, to get the people to know that this government belongs to them. For instance, let me take something from what the governor is doing. The smart schools that tend to bring in a new way of educating the children, governor says it is not owned by Enugu State. It is owned by Enugu State people. And so when the local government has also taken it upon them to own these smart schools and also get to the communities to tell them that communities are the owners of this school. The roads we are building are owned by the people, so we don't go to burn all things on top of the roads. What we are doing, particularly from my own example, is that we go to the community, we are closer to the communities. We get to the communities, or even when they come to office, because some of us, I go to work every day. I don't want to play on that. So I go to work every day, and when they come around, if I'm not in the field, they ask you to do this and ask you to do that. You begin to know the mountainous demands of the people. But when I get to the traditional rulers, the PGs, that's the people who, the prime ministers who are actually the government of the localities. So if we get to the PGs, we now tell them what they need to know about government interest, and tell them that this government belongs to you people. Come and take advantage of all the things we're saying. Let me give you an instance. His Excellency had an idea to convert every forest in Enugu State to a farmland. Call it farm estate. The local government is taking charge of this responsibly. So that as you, I think I talked with you this afternoon, and I was coming out from a community where I told them that there is need for us to convert the bushes and the forests around their area so that even the herdsmen will not have that opportunity to come into the area to graze or the damage crops or even to kill people, so to say. So we are converting this place to farmland.
Contending with the herdsmen threat. Is
Hello?
it a problem in your local government?
It is not a great problem because we are containing them, but it's a threat, not only in the Udenu, but in other areas. You know, Udenu is close to issues of local government. Udenu is close to Igbe's local government. After Udenu, you get Benue State. But our relationship with Benue people is such that we have not had threats in our area, except for what we experienced sometime a few weeks ago in areas that are bordering Obadigo local government. But for now, we don't have that threat. But there are miscreants who are going in the name of headers and so on and so forth. But thanks be to God, we are containing them.
Honorable Chairman, I'd like to thank you for your time and for making time this late to talk to us. And I hope, as you promised, you'll be here very soon to talk to us again.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Thank you. In the studio, I have also Joe Mamel. Also, you listened to my conversation with the chairman of Udenu local government. You were local government chairman so many years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think that from when you were chairman and now, that so much has been done to really make sure that the local governments are the engine room for grassroots development?
No, I think during our own time, we realized that if we don't have direct funding from the federal government, there is no way we can be able to be in charge of our various councils. So the first thing we went is to go into litigation with the governors then over direct funding and to explain to the courts that Section 162 of the 1999 Constitution gives sharing power to the three tiers of government, that is the federal, the state, and the local government. And the issues we were battling with them, issues of joint accounts. To the states, their interpretation of the joint account is that it's an account that comes to them and they now share it amongst the local government. But our own interpretation of it is that Section 162, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution says that the local government will have their account directly remitted to them. Then there will be a remittance from the state government, which is supposed to be 15% of the internal generated revenue.
Also to the local government.
Also to the local government. So that is the joint account. The account accruing to the benefit of local government from the state, and the direct remittance to the local governments by the federal government in accordance with sharing formula of Section 160.
But the challenge is that even the one that is supposed to go directly, a lot of times didn't get to the local government.
That is,
nobody is talking of adding the IGR percentage of it.
Yes, we held on to that until we left. We were pioneer chairman of the 1999 Constitution.
Okay.
So after we left, they reverted back to the joint account, and started misusing the accounts of the local government.
But we have a Supreme Court judgment that says
that is what has returned it now.
But are they doing it even now?
Now it's an internal arrangement between the councils and the state. So we cannot say, because it depends that what the arrangement, I will not say was or is, because the local government there did not, in as much as they say they went through an election, but we know that they were appointed into those posts. And
so there's a tendency they may not do what your group of chairmen did.
Yes, we were in charge. They are not in charge, because during our own time, we were subject to the councils. So the only person that could remove us is through the impeachment of our councillors. So everything we were doing was locally based. in terms of its structure. But now you can see that councils virtually don't exist.
Okay,
Yes.
Joe, that's
Yes.
not the thrust of our conversation tonight. Tonight we're looking at human rights and the scourge of extrajudicial killings. You saw what happened in Uromi.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I say Nigeria is a lucky country because that singular incident could have snowballed into something bigger in the country. But I think we can give kudos to the governor in Kano, the governor in Edo,
Yeah.
and even the federal government and everybody, the way it has been, handled. But this is increasingly becoming an embarrassing situation in our country. A lot of people take laws into their hands,
Yeah.
including the ordinary people, like we saw in Uromi. How can this be stopped? And I know that some of these things come to your commission all the time. How can it be? How can it be tackled?
It's a violation. This is complete violation, like what happened in the Uromi matter. The National Human Rights Commission is bothered about protecting the Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution, which discusses, most importantly, the right to life, dignity to human persons, and fair hearing. And if you watch what really happened, we frown very much, about the Uromi incident because it's a public extrajudicial killing.
Yes.
It's a mob action, and they were not given. No matter how it happened, no matter how you see or what they think happened, it's still an allegation because they were not. Their rights under fair hearing was not given to them. They were not well heard.
Yes.
Even before it happened. And secondly, the right to life is what is enshrined in the Constitution for every person, for me and you and for them. And nobody should be discriminated, by virtue of where they come from or what they think they are. That's why we are all under a law. And the supreme law is that Constitution of which we are discussing is Chapter 4.
One of my worries is that we, the ordinary people, who are not policemen or soldiers or security men, we've always talked about extrajudicial killings by the police and some law enforcement agencies. And now we, the people, are the ones, judge, prosecutor, and executor. How did we get here? Or is it because organizations like yours are not doing enough public enlightenment?
We are doing enough public, but not enough, because human rights is every person's business. Mm-hmm. We are supposed to preach this thing as a message even to the grassroots. So if you notice that most of the offenders of the human rights at times happen to equally be our security personnel, people who are supposed to protect us are the people that are abusing us. So at times the people don't have faith in the judicial process, because I think that's possibly what happened in Uromi. Because when they see people, they believe if we take them even to the police,
they will go scot-free.
They will go scot-free. And this, you notice, is a pent-up anger. Things have been happening there. Their women have been raped. Their men have been kidnapped. So a lot has been happening to them, and nobody has come to their relief. So they decided to take the laws into their hands, which is not right.
Which is not right.
Which is not right, but they see it as there's no other way to get out of this, only if we react that in an unconventional manner.
Okay, Joe, we'll come back to our conversation, but we'll take a little break and return in a moment. So people have lost, confidence sometimes in the security apparatus.
Yeah.
They've lost confidence in the judicial system.
Yes.
And they take laws into their hands.
Yeah.
So what can we do? How can we bring back confidence in these institutions so that the ordinary people will know that if somebody has violated me, or if I'm suspecting that somebody has committed an offense, that if we catch this person, arrest this person, and take them to these other levels, that justice will be done? How can we do that? Because it has become a confidence issue.
Is to actually rejig our judicial system. If we don't have a strong judiciary, we won't have a strong country. Because the judiciary is the biggest check, on a lot of things that happen in a country. Now, you must understand that even within the National Human Rights Commission, we have discovered that the biggest violators of rights happen to be like the security agents. And at times, when taking somebody for a criminal matter before the court, it has to pass through that same police. It is the police that prosecutes. They are the people who go into looking at the crime and the security. But you find out that going out in the streets now, even going home, they might catch you, restrict your movement, put you into custody, keep you beyond 36 hours, and at the end of the day, when you look at the process of getting justice, you decide to take it. So I think that if we need to preach, even at an elementary stage, the way we have civic education in schools, we need to preach human rights so that every child of us will know you are right. Knowing you are right is your existence. You have to know when you are molested and when you are violated. It is a right you have to grow with as being fundamental. That is why it's called a fundamental right. It belongs to you. It does not belong to any other person. It is your own right. So I think it should even be in the curriculum of schools from primary school. The way we do civic education then. What is chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution? They will tell you at least 5 or 7 principles of right and rights that exist, which you will never allow as growing up to be violated. You need to know your child's right acts and things like that. So it's a thing that growing up, it becomes part of you. So that when things happen, you know how to pursue it. Because some people don't even know when their rights are violated. And human rights, we have succeeded in putting up offices in the 36 states. But we are to get it down, it's a little bit difficult for us because when the funding of all those things, there is a part that the government does, and the other ones is things you get from other international organizations. Yes, but what we are trying to do is how do we pull it down so that there will be a human rights desk in every local government.
Okay, let me end this conversation by asking, when extrajudicial issues are brought to the National Human Rights Commission, how is it approached? When people bring some of these complaints to your commission, how do you approach it and what do you do? What are the steps?
The steps is, first of all, you have to identify the complaint.
Okay.
And that complaint must be seen to be a violation of rights. It must fall within our purview. We don't pursue it. Another thing is that we don't get involved in matters that are sub judice.
Already in court.
Already in court. We don't. So we can't have 2 courts at the same time. So when we have it, we then go to investigate. So we have investigation officers in each state. They are
do you have a sanctioning power? Can you sanction?
Yes. When we sit as in plenary, we come out with resolutions, and according to the act establishing it, we have the same powers like a federal high court. But the practice direction in terms of enforcement is where we are, because it is the CJN that is going to approve the practice direction in the enforcement of rights. That is when we come out with decisions and resolutions in terms of matters or complaints before the commission. But we have every power like a court, to punish or to say that this is what we think should happen in matters like this. Yes.
Also, Joe Mamel, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, man.
Always a pleasure.
Mine too.
When we return, we would bring our conversation with Jude Udo Ilo, who is a development practitioner and has come out with a book, It Is Possible, How to Bring Change to Nigeria. Don't go away. Let's localize our conversation with Nigeria. Another book I read said that transformational leaders have to understand how to provide for their populations. And it goes further to say they must be honest, they must be confident, they must be disciplined, and finally they must lead by example. If this makes sense to you, do you think any of this has taken place in Nigeria? That's number one. Number two is that in your book, you have hinged a good percentage of the success of change on leadership.
Yes.
So
yeah. So leadership is not about position. So leadership can be provided by people who are not in positions of authority, but they have the charisma or the ability to rally people together. So just to say that I think leadership is important, and it's not just based on on your position of authority or power. It's about your capability to inspire people and get them to move from one point to another. So to your question about remarkable leaders, so in the book I talked about Sam Mbakwe, and it was where I was talking about leading by example, just to the point of this, to the quote you have. So this was a politician who, in a place like Nigeria, was able to rally his states to donate their own money towards starting off the construction of an airport. And we know that the relationship between Nigerians and the states is a rent relationship. It is extractive, what we can get out of government. That's why we call it national cake or state cake or whatever it is. But this leader was able to get people to give their money because they trust him, because they felt he was a man of integrity, because they've seen that he's a man that they can be trusted with their money. And so they willingly did it. And Sam wasn't different from other politicians in terms of he didn't have two heads. But he was a different breed who everybody was convinced put the interests of the people ahead of himself. And Nigerians, or the people of Imo State, responded to that kind of leadership. And which simply says that if you have the right kind of leadership, people will follow. People will get inspired. But sadly, if there has been one unfortunate character of the Nigerian state over the years, is the lack and the absence of inspirational leaders. We've been visited with a breed of mediocre leaders, people who find it difficult to be bold, visionary, and to submit themselves to the welfare of the Nigerian people. And because we don't have that kind of exceptional leadership, it has not allowed us to unlock who we are. And people will say, oh no, the followers also have a responsibility. Yes, I do agree. But that's a reason why there has to be a leader. It means he leads or she leads and people follow. And when you have a bad one, before you stop navigating the wrong road the person has taken you down to, you've lost a lot of time.
So, still talking about a country like Nigeria, how can leadership, even when they don't initiate change, how can leadership facilitate change or create the enabling environment for change and change actors to make progress?
We can also go back again, look into history or lessons from across the world to get some insight about what has worked. If there's anything everybody agrees on, is on human development. That as a country, as a people, as a state, the focus, the priority should be about human development. Making sure that the skills and the talents within that country is enhanced. That is, It is given the space to shine. It is given the opportunity to bloom. And when you invest in human development, you've built about the biggest natural resource you can ever have. And the good example of that is the story of Singapore. In 2007, I was fortunate to be in the same room with Lim Kuan Yew, and he was asked the question, what are the things that made Singapore successful? What's the trick? And his first answer was human development. They invested money, time, energy in young people, making sure they had the best kind of education, making sure they have the best kind of orientation. And he said to us that I sent a lot of them to the Ivy League colleges, and I know some of them will not come back. But I believe that even if just one person came back, the person will make a difference. And it paid off, because the bureaucracy, the Singapore bureaucracy, is one of the most sophisticated in terms of effectiveness across the world. And it's simply because he made that investment. So to your question, I would say human development, human development, human development. Natural resources without human development is a total waste, frankly.
So, can change happen with collaboration between the people and the government?
It can't happen without. That's the only way it can happen. Because let's not forget, government controls the levers of power. Government controls almost everything.
So if you have an unwilling government, that makes it impossible for change to happen?
Not impossible, but difficult. Because even an unwilling government can also be defeated by the will of the people.
So how do change advocates, how do they manage this very important relationship between them and the leaders?
So there are people who work in the space who are not interested in working with government. They focus their work in mobilizing communities, and the communities then make their demands, because the communities they're a voting bloc. They can exercise social pressure and political pressure. And so for some people, just work with the communities and let the communities make their demands. But I do think, there's no government that knows it all. So we also have to acknowledge that sometimes the failings of government might not necessarily be out of bad will. It could also be out of lack of expertise. Secondly, it could also be out of bad will. But in all of this, you cannot afford to not engage. Right? Now, how do you work with an unwilling government? You have to create disincentives and incentives. Disincentives could mean having those communities understand that the government is not working in their benefit, and then making that political demand or creating political sanctions for that kind of bad behavior. Incentive could be about making the government understand the potentials that are existing for which they can benefit as a government if they tap into it. There are no easy answers. It's infuriatingly difficult to move things forward, especially in a bureaucracy like Nigeria, where the technical government is not as efficient as desirable, and the political government is often corrupt, undermining whatever is left of the technical government. So it's a bit of a bad mix.
Could this be the point you were trying to make in chapter 18, where you talked about capacity to talk to the enemy, in quotes?
Yes. So I do not think, again, it is possible to move things forward by saying, I'm not going to talk to these people.
So why did you describe them as enemies?
That's why I put it in quotes. Yeah, because a lot of people see, what they call the othering, the other people, the other side. So we create this notion of, I can't work with this person is really, really bad, and my integrity, I can't be seen with this person. But unfortunately, it's not about what you like, it's about what is practical. So say you have a minister who is incredibly bad, but he holds the pen. He's the one who can sign or not sign. He's the one who is making policy decisions about something that affects people you care about. You have to engage. Convince him, or at least get him not to do any harm. And the Mandela example again is a very clear example. This is a man who's been kept in prison for decades. The son died, couldn't bury the son. The mother died, he couldn't bury his mother. They used his wife to impose serious damages, emotional damages on him, seeing the way the wife was being maltreated, kept in solitary confinement and all of that. They did everything possible to break him. The only thing they did not do was try to kill him. But he said to himself, if I do not talk to these people, South Africa will not be free.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo in Enugu, Nigeria, thanking you for joining us and asking you to be here again tomorrow at 11 West African time.
Top of the morning to you and welcome to your favorite TV show on Signature TV, New Day, a show where we bring you in-depth analysis and of course fresh perspectives of events across Nigeria and beyond. Welcome. Today is the 10th day of May 2025 and we promise to get you inspired and keep you informed. You can be a part of this conversation. I invite you to go on over to our social media platforms. We are live 247 on YouTube, Facebook at Signature TV Official. Go like, comment, and share. We want to hear your thoughts. And we are live also on SLTV channel 265. And of course, go on over to your Google Play Store and download Signature TV app. I'm your host, Chigi Chiagorom, Newspaper Headlines. and review after now. Stay with us. And if you're just joining us, welcome again to Signature TV's New Day, your favorite weekend show. And welcome to newspaper headlines. First up, Saturday Tribune. And just above the mass, man rapes 12-year-old daughter of woman friend in Ondo on page 29. Ibadan woman tells court, my husband laced our floor with charm and dared me to cross it. On page 12, 2025 UTME, JAMB withholds 39,834 results from exam malpractices. Just below the Saturday Tribune mast, PDP set to drag defectors to court with rider loses 3 more senators to APC. At Awolowo's 38th memorial anniversary service, cleric asks leaders to build enduring legacies. Glow explains how its product can improve performance in UTME and other exams. And finally, on the Saturday Tribune, youths flock to cocoa farming as price surges. Next up, the Guardian Weekend. NNPC diversifies as tenor bulk. Giverton unites to birth unity shipping. Time to prepare for war on truth, part 1. Intrigues in Kano APC over Kwankwaso's planned return to the party. Then below the mass, despite penalty clause, public officers defy asset declaration law on pages 8 and 9 of the Weekend Guardian. Prioritize uniting a fragmented world, Catholics urge Pope Leo XIV. Why JAMB withheld results of 39,834 UTME candidates, the listed 4 centers coming from Uluede. And Nigeria's logistics sector will I'll take that again. Nigeria's logistics sector will worth over $3 trillion by 2030, says Minister. Finally, on the Guardian Weekend, Quarterly initiatives in Nigeria, a welcome development, says Tinubu. Over to the Saturday Nation, and above the mast, federal government forges ahead with Naira 4 crude policy implementation. With riders Dangote, we are not in competition with NNPCL, oil giants, real firm commitment to energy security. And JAB releases 2025 UTME result withholds 39,834 over malpractices. More trouble as fresh wave of defections hits PDP on page 4 with riders. 3 Kebbi senators meet Tinubu to join APC next week. Jigawa minority leader, hundreds of supporters dump party. President hosts Sokoto, Kebbi governors and stakeholders. Ganduje, APC has mechanisms for smooth integration of defectors. Pope Leo XIV always wanted to be priest, coming from brother. Confusion trails gunmen attack on travelers in Imo. With riders, police kill suspected IPOB ESN member in Okigwe shootout, and no extraction process against Ekpe, coming from AGF. Alleged $1.04 million fraud. Supreme Court sends Ajudua back to jail, revokes bail granted by appeal court. Finally, on the Saturday Nation, suspected headsmen kill 9 in Benue communities. Then over to the Blueprint Weekend, federal government to repatriate 15,000 stranded Nigerians in Chad, Cameroon, and Benin. Despite tariff hikes, telecom electricity consumers lament poor services. With riders, no improvements in service delivery after hikes from consumers. We switch from one network to another in search of better connections from subscribers, and government should call them to order. Students. From romance to revenge, the Rahama Sadao you didn't know. JAMB officially releases results with holds 39,834 over malpractice. Police rescue 25 Ivorians from kidnappers, arrest 8 suspects. Hajj committee inspects pilgrims' feeding facilities in Medina. AGF reaffirms federal government's commitment to accountable, transparent justice administration, all on pages 6, 7, and 10 respectively. And finally, on the blueprint weekend, NAS needs to embrace digitalization coming from CNA. On the weekend,